Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about dam sedimentation, what it is, what causes it, ways we can fix the global issue, and what happens once dams are removed. So, what is sedimentation? Well, when a dam is built in a river, it blocks off the stream flow and creates what we call an impoundment. Over time, the impoundment collects the sediments that usually flow through the river and causes them to sink and compact on the stream bed. Because the water is still flowing up to the dam, it's still carrying the sediments from upstream, and these sediments eventually start to build up and compact more and more and cause large sedimentation buildup on one side of the dam structure, like we've seen in that video. So where does all the sediments go? Well, because there's no effective ways to remove the built up sediment, most of the time due to environmental concerns, the sediments ultimately stay at the bottom of the river and just collect. This picture is of the Matilija Dam in Southern California that was built to help with flood control on the Matilija Creek. This dam has such bad sedimentation that grass actually grows on the top surface of the water, which you can see here. And you can tell it's not really effective on stopping water flow when there's large rain events because the water just ends up flowing over the top. So it doesn't really help with anything. They actually enacted a plan to remove the dam, but because of the droughts and the effects of climate change, they've been unsuccessful. There's also a lot of farmland downstream that if the excess nutrients in these built up sediments gets washed into the river downstream, it can be detrimental to the cropland. So how do these excess sediments affect the environment globally? These sediments actually trap macrophytes, plankton, dead organic matter that was on the bottom of the river and cause an increase in the rate of decomposition, which then emits greenhouse gases at higher rates than usual. A study I read by a USGS research group found that dam impoundments contribute to around 1.5% of the anthropogenic carbon equivalent emissions globally, which is actually the amount that the entire country of Canada emits annually, which I thought was kind of crazy. That number is on the rise also due to increased construction of dams. Another implication of these impoundments is that the sediment traps all the toxins that enter the stream. So a lot of these toxins are like arsenic, mercury, and lead, and it can cause a lot of issues for organisms that rely on the streams to survive, even humans as well, because we use a lot of streams for our water treatment plants and water treatments in general. All of this can also cause water quality to decline and also create hubs for invasive species to take over. In fact, these impoundments are 300 times more likely than natural lakes to harbor invasive species due to the poor conditions. The native species are unable to adapt to the changing environment, and coupled with a flux of invasive species, their populations tend to decline rapidly. So what can we do to help this problem? There are many solutions to try and aid the effective sedimentation of rivers, such as dredging, where they take a crane and they physically try and remove the sediments. Another way is through this one is the sediment bypass tunnels that collect the sediment loaded water like near the bottom of the river upstream from the dam and push it through this like tunnel off stream, and it is like reunited with the stream down here, and it is supposed to help with the buildup once it gets to the dam. There's also a way through flushing, which is where they flush the sediments downstream through tubes installed in the wall of the dam during heavy rain events. And while all these seem like great options, they can be costly and have a lot of environmental drawbacks as well. And the things like pressure flushing, a lot of times it comes with this, it's called a score cone, where it doesn't really effectively remove all of the sediments across the whole dam. It only removes the sediments like right where that tube is. So it doesn't really affect anything long term. It more just like helps it in the short term. The best way to fix sedimentation is actually through dam removal altogether. Removing the dam restores the river back to its natural environment and allows for the natural sediment loading to come back and oxygen and decomposition levels to return to normal, as well as restoring good water quality for fish and other wildlife. However, the effects of removal can also hinder surrounding environments by releasing the toxic sediments that were built up along the dam to the environment, and also affecting people and organisms downstream through increased water flows that could cause flooding and other natural disasters. This picture is actually of the Elbow River in Washington before and after the dam was removed. And you can see that obviously the dam was creating an impoundment back here, and then afterwards it's creating a nice free-flowing high riverbed sides and everything. Very beautiful. This should look familiar. So this is obviously the Peninsular Park Dam. In 2017, the city of Ypsi started discussing possibly removing Peninsular Park Dam. And in 2019, the city council and residents of Ypsi approved the removal of the dam. And they looked at the cost of maintaining and keeping it or removing it altogether. The cost of repairing the dam would have been around $850,000 to $1 million. However, the city would still need to do annual repairs and maintain the integrity of the dam over time, as well as doing a major cleanup because there's a lot of gross stuff. Removing the dam would cost around $1.7 million in total. However, the environmental impacts would, I think, outweigh that cost. I think it would be really, really cool. The Huron River Watershed Council also came up with these really cool images right here on the right on how we should restore the park to its original glory, a place for families and kids to enjoy. I really like this idea. I've been monitoring this project very closely. I love to kayak down the Huron River, and being able to have a place to take my family, like this nice park and this big open river, would be very awesome. All in all, thank you guys for listening and learning with me about sedimentation. It was very fun doing this topic, so I hope you had fun too.